And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Monday, February 10th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down a 9-game slate on DraftKings, a 10-game slate on FanDuel. We have one 10:30 start. DraftKings dropped that from their main. Otherwise, we've got 3 games starting at 7. 2 games at 7:30, 2 at 8, 1 at 8:30, and 1 at 9. Got a real nice spread for today. So how about we hit that like button? Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. What's good, folks? What's good? How goes it? Didn't really watch much of the Super Bowl. It was on. I think I fell asleep before the first play happened. Yeah. Good riddance. NFL. Adios. NBA is here. It's the only thing that matters now. Shout out to the Lakers and the Hornets. I got to talk about that one a little bit yesterday for the Sunday show. But Mark Williams, congratulations. You are now a Charlotte Hornet once again. Don't get too excited about going to Los Angeles. You're back. AD hurt already. Going to be out for a while. Mavs are getting exactly what they deserve there. You know? Not that I want AD to be hurt. That's not what I'm saying. It sucks. I don't want it. But boy, oh boy, did that come back to bite them immediately. Immediately. Yikes. Yikes. All right, lots to talk about, guys. I think we should probably just get into it. So let's do it. We're going to start this one off today. Minnesota Timberwolves, 9-point underdogs in Cleveland, 228 total. Minnesota's been banged up, and they're even more banged up today. Still no Dante DiVincenzo, still no Julius Randle. Mike Conley is questionable. Anthony Edwards is questionable. Now, normally you would just assume those guys are just going to play. However, we do have to think about the fact that Minnesota played 2 days ago. Anthony Edwards did not play. Mike Conley did not play. They're at least like actually questionable. If there's no Ant and there's no Mike Conley again here, we might have some value on Rob Dillingham, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid. There's no value. There's no ownership coming into these guys right now. 5% to Naz Reid, 5% to Mike Conley. I don't see these guys as anything more than like 5%ers. I think Naz Reid's probably your best option. 6,900, power forward, center eligible. You want to tell me he's 5 to 10% owned? I get it, but bad matchup, shorthanded. We're gonna need Ant and Conley out to really get any volume of Minnesota. West Coast Supply says, Josh, looks like AD is out a month. Who won the trade? Well, this injury has absolutely nothing to do with who won the trade. Dallas lost the trade by a mile, whether AD is healthy or not. We got 32 minutes out of Jalen Clark last time out for Minnesota with both of those dudes out. 3,700, shooting guard, small forward eligible. He's going to look like an okay value if we end up with both of those guys out. Probably not any sort of priority, but a name you could click on to save some salary. Peter, Dallas did not get robbed. Well, I mean, they got robbed, but they did it. It's hard to say they got robbed when they're the ones that did it. All right, then we go to Cleveland. Now, Cavs are a little different. Karis LeVert, not on this team anymore. George Niang, not on this team anymore. Sam Merrill missed their last game. There's no ownership coming into Cleveland. About 5% to Ty Jerome, about 5% to Jared Allen. I'm assuming we get DeAndre Hunter here today. He's 5,200, looks fine. I think the best option for Cleveland is Darius Garland, but when you still have Rudy Gobert on the opposite side, when you still have McDaniels on the opposite side, like this is still a solid Minnesota defense. So you're seeing 16% total ownership to Minnesota, 20% total ownership to Cleveland. This is the lowest owned game on the slate. So, I don't have anybody from Minnesota that I care about too much. Cleveland, by all accounts, is going to be at full strength tonight, outside of Dean Wade and Okoro, who have just been out. There's nothing from Minnesota or Cleveland that I want with any sort of priority. We go to game number 2. That's going to be the Atlanta Hawks. 5.5-point underdogs in Orlando, 221 total. Now, the Hawks are also a very new look team. DeAndre Hunter, no longer here. We got 26 minutes out of George Niang 2 days ago, 25 minutes out of Terrence Mann, 15 minutes out of Karis LeVert. So all the new guys played for Atlanta last time out. The only guy getting any love today is 15% ownership to Onyeka Okongwu. I don't totally understand why he's getting that. I went 28 minutes. Capella's back. I have Capella getting the other 20. Okongwu's fine. He's a reasonable value. This is a terrible matchup against Orlando. It doesn't get much worse for Atlanta than having a matchup against the Orlando Magic. So I think Onyeka Okongwu is overowned. I'm a little more interested in a contrarian Trae Young or a mildly contrarian Dyson Daniels. But I would also rather just not have much of Atlanta. I don't see anything appealing here, especially against Orlando. Chat, do you guys like anything from the Hawks? Because now you got Niang playing mid-20s minutes, Mann playing mid-20s minutes. I'm guessing LeVert gets there eventually. With Capella available, then you're just, you're still getting Okongwu starting, but he plays 28 minutes a night. Why is he getting any love? Especially against an Orlando team that's going to play 48 minutes of good centers. I just don't like it. 4,200 for Niang. I don't see it. I don't see it for Krejci. Just not a team that I want. Now, the Orlando side is getting a little bit of love, and it's the two guys that deserve to get love. 15% ownership to Paolo Banchero. It's about 20 to Franz Wagner. Hasn't been great for Paolo lately. Still no Suggs, or at least it seems like we're not going to have Suggs. I like Paolo more than I like Franz, but they're close. 8,300 for Paolo, power forward only. 8,500 for Franz, small forward only. Paolo grades out better for me. Franz has certainly been better, I would say. I think those are the only two guys that you feel good about rostering. You can always get KCP if you just need a pay down option, because the minutes are always just going to be there. But he's so bad per minute. 0.62 is where I have him for this game. And that's about as good as it's ever going to get, considering this is a pace up spot for Orlando against Atlanta. That's the reason that Paolo and Franz look as good as they do. This matchup is perfect. But you can't go to Anthony Black, the centers, Cole Anthony. For me, it's Paolo 1, Franz 2. Large field GPP flyers on KCP. Game number 3. San Antonio Spurs. 11.5-point favorites in Washington, 235 total. This is one of the higher totals. It's the second fastest game on the slate, but it's not creating all that much ownership to San Antonio. About 10% to Fox, Vassell, Wemby, and Chris Paul. Now, I think Vassell is going to be the easiest name to click on from San Antonio. You get the best positional eligibility at shooting guard, small forward. 6,300, very manageable. He's playing like 33 minutes a night, pretty much without any effort. It just is that number kind of every day. You're getting about 10% ownership to Chris Paul. I think he looks second best, playing about 28 minutes now since Fox came in. 5,500. He's a fantasy point per minute guy. I think 10% ownership makes the most sense for him. I don't love Wemby, but I don't want to undersell Victor Wembanyama on this slate. But we have 9 teams, or we have 9 games. We have 18 teams. We don't really have a ton of value right now. So getting to a 11K center only option, especially on a day where we do have Jokic relevant as another pay up. We do have SGA against New Orleans. It's relevant as another pay up. So I'm not surprised to see Wemby not getting a ton of ownership. I think 5 to 10% makes sense. Same for Fox. 8,300 point guard, shooting guard eligible. 10% ownership seems about right. I don't have anybody that looks amazing from San Antonio, but I do feel like these guys look a little bit better than what we've seen. I'd rank it Vassell, Paul, honestly, maybe Castle, Fox, Wemby. I think that's probably a minority opinion, though. But even in this great matchup against Washington, it's still not creating much from San Antonio. These guys are pretty much priced where they should be. Now, Washington is just absolute death. They are currently the second most owned team. They have made wholesale changes to their roster. We've got 10% ownership to Bilal Coulibaly, 10% ownership to Malcolm Brogdon, 10% ownership to Bub Carrington. Then we get 15 to Rashawn Holmes, 25 to Keyshawn George, who also missed their most recent game, and then another 35 to Jordan Poole. Now, we don't really know what this center rotation is going to look like. Alex Len got traded to Washington, but he's going to get bought out and end up in Indiana. So I'm assuming we're getting mostly Rashawn Holmes and Tristan Vucevic. Vucevic up to 4,400 right now. We don't have to go that direction. Assuming Rashawn Holmes starts at 4,900, certainly looks like a reasonable center option. I don't have any real problems going there. I do feel like these guys are a little overowned, though. 7,100 for Jordan Poole and 35% owned. That's a little more than it should be. You want to tell me that's high 20s? I think that makes more sense. Keyshawn George being 27% owned. Again, that feels a little high, especially with him being questionable. You want to tell me he should be 20? I think that makes sense. Bub Carrington at 10, I agree with. Coulibaly at 10, I agree with. Brogdon at 10, I agree with. Kispert probably a little underrepresented. With no George, he played 35 minutes. He's played 28, 29, 30, 28, and 35 in his last 5. I think Kispert should be more than 1% owned. But I think the summary of Washington is Poole and George look like the best plays, but they're over-owned. Washington deserves to be one of the most owned teams on the slate. I would rank the Wizards as Poole, George, Carrington, Coulibaly, Brogdon, Holmes, Kispert. I'm guessing Diabate is playing as well as Mark Williams because he's as good as Mark Williams. That'd be my assumption. But Washington, unfortunately, is a team that we are going to be paying very close attention to on a 9-game slate. Nothing better than going to the worst team in the league. Speaking of the worst teams in the league, Charlotte plays Brooklyn. So, 3-team stretch of awful, awful, and awful. Now, for Charlotte, there's literally nothing we can do right now. They are on a back-to-back. So we don't have their injury report. They didn't have LaMelo Ball, Nick Smith, Josh Green, or Mark Williams yesterday. Diabate played 7 minutes. We don't know the status of Nurkic. We don't know the status of Mark Williams. We have no idea what Charlotte is going to look like. I'm not even going to bother. Not even going to bother assessing this team. We have absolutely no idea who is available for Charlotte. We know who's available for Brooklyn. It's the same garbage dudes they play every single night. We got to 10% ownership on Trend and Watford and about 5 to everybody else. I see this whole team as 5% owned. I don't have anything to say about Brooklyn. They don't look good. They all look the same. I have nothing to add here for the Brooklyn Nets either. So Charlotte, we might have interesting plays. We just don't know who's available. Assuming everybody for Brooklyn is available, and it's possible D'Angelo Russell isn't, nothing looks good. These guys are the worst DFS team in the league by far. By far. Alrighty, folks, hit that like button if you can. Helps me out a ton. There's a link. Ooh, I gotta change this overlay. I didn't realize it till right now. I might not actually have one. Oh, yeah, I do. I just gotta turn off the ad. Boop, forgot about it. So there is a link in the description of this video. The SB75 promo is gone, but if you still want to sign up and try out the Portfolio EV tool, take a market-based approach to beating the books, you can do that and get a free week. If you've never signed up at OddsShopper.com before, click the link in the description, sign up for Portfolio EV. You'll get a week for $0. Get expected value and expected win rate on all the props you're looking for on pick'em sites and sportsbooks. We have odds boost calculators. We have parlay builders. You can shop around for the best lines across all the different books and pick'em sites. We have all of the advanced data you could want to look at. Historical recommendations. We track everything we ever recommend, and you can query that database. So if you want to look at just points props on FanDuel, you can set that up and get notifications anytime a bet hits that specific portfolio. It's the best tool out there, and you can try it for free. So click the link in the description to check it out. Game number 5, Boston Celtics. On the road, 6-point favorites, 219 total, taking on the Miami Heat. Second slowest game of the slate, second lowest total of the slate. No ownership coming into Boston. They're the they are the third lowest owned team. But they are at least a little interesting, or at least could be a little interesting. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are both questionable. Obviously, the whole team looks different if one or both of those dudes are out. If they're both in, nobody's getting rostered. 7% ownership to Jaylen Brown is the most of anybody on Boston. Nobody looks good. I would argue $3,900 Al Horford is the most underrepresented guy here. But it's still just a 5% dude. The pace of this game, the total of this game, the fact that, at least on paper, everybody's in, there's nothing here for Boston. If you get one of Tatum or Brown out, or both of them out, then we're going to have a lot to like for Boston. But as of right now, with everybody in, I don't see the path. Sorry, I guess I shouldn't say everybody's in. Drew Holiday is already out. They just don't look good even with it. You bump up the minutes for Luke Cornett. Kata gets a rotation. Hauser plays a little bit more. And all of a sudden, none of it matters. And that's how I see it. Well, I had Tatum 6% optimal. I have Jaylen Brown 6% optimal. This is a terrible game environment for DFS. Now, I will say this. The line is 6. I have it at 9.5. It does imply that one of these guys isn't going to play today. And if that's the case, then, Derek White looks better. Tingus Pingus looks better. Peyton Pritchard starts to look a little bit better. But with them both in, I don't like it. Yeah, S&P, you got there. You got there. Now, the Miami side. Jaime Jaquez is questionable. Nikola Jovic is probable. We don't really have much ownership coming into Miami. Obviously, a matchup against Boston is not fun. The total is not helpful. We have 10% ownership coming in to the questionable Jaime Jaquez. 4K, shooting guard, small forward. Minutes just still aren't there. He really fell off in this sophomore season. And then we get 5% to everybody else. Hero, Bam, Ware, Jovic, Rozier. I like Ware. I think he should be about 10% owned. I like Rozier. I think he should be about 10% owned. But these guys aren't stands. They're like slightly under-owned pivots. Because while they might look a little bit better than what their ownership implies, they're still in a really bad matchup. I have them losing 3.2 possessions below their average. I mean, every bit of this is a bad environment for Miami. You know, Boston is 25th in pace. Miami is 27th in pace. This is just a very, very, very slow matchup. Golden State Warriors. 6-point favorites in Milwaukee, 231 total. Got about 10% ownership coming into Steph, but Steph is questionable. Still no Kuminga. 25% ownership to Draymond. 20% ownership to Buddy Hield. 25% ownership to Brandon Pajemski. These Golden State Warriors look pretty good today. I like Steph the most at 8,700. You know, we've got no Giannis on the opposite side for Milwaukee. I'd argue Steph at 10% owned is under-owned. You tell me that's 15 to 20, I think it makes some sense. Draymond's playing big minutes right now. I've got him in for 32. He's 6K, power forward center eligible. Totally deserves 25% ownership to me. 20% ownership to Buddy Hield, 4,800. He's playing 30 minutes now with this new look lineup after the trade for Jimmy. Now, Jimmy's getting no love. I don't see it for him either. 7,800. Too expensive at this moment. You've got Pajemski playing 28 minutes now. He's 4,900. Point guard, shooting guard eligible. You know, close to a fantasy point per minute. I think he deserves 20% ownership. Golden State right now is the third most owned team. I totally agree with it. I'm ranking them Steph, Draymond, Hield, Pajemski. I think Moody works as like a 5 to 10%er as well. But Golden State in a matchup against Milwaukee looks a lot better than a matchup when they have Giannis. Now, if Steph is out, then we're probably having a conversation about Jimmy. Pajemski looks better. Hield looks better. Draymond looks just as good. Moody ends up looking better. We're probably going to Gui Santos a little bit at that point. Golden State Warriors are going to look good all day. But whether Steph plays or not, it's not even going to matter. These guys are going to be pretty heavily owned. You're going to get Golden State Warrior cash lineup pieces. You're also going to get quite a bit of ownership for the Milwaukee Bucks. No Giannis, which we've seen. At least we assume no Giannis. They are technically on a back-to-back. What this is creating, though, 60% ownership to Bobby Portis at 6,300. Looks amazing. He's just stepping into all of these minutes. 33% optimal. 50% boom. You need 41 fantasy points. That's why I have him projected for. I don't know how you get away from Portis. Same as it was yesterday. I don't know how you get away from Kyle Kuzma. Now, DraftKings did wake up. He's not 3,800 again, but he's 5,300. Small forward, power forward eligible. He got north of 30 minutes yesterday. It's 50% owned. Maybe a little high, but massive priority today. Dame is 30% owned. Spoiler, we know what Dame is when no Giannis around. Is 30% ownership a little too high to me? Yes. Yes, it is. Does that matter to me? No. No, it does not. Dame looks awesome. No problem with it whatsoever. No. JJT, did Portis start yesterday? No. Kuzma started. Portis closed, though. The start shouldn't matter all that much. I think those minutes are just going to be there no matter what because of Andre Jackson. Yes, he still looks good if he doesn't start. It doesn't matter at all. Bobby Portis is in cash lineups whether he starts or not. Unless we get Giannis back, obviously. Then Gary Trent's getting some love at 3,900 as well. Yeah, I mean, like, I know that Giannis is not coming back today. Let me be very clear here. The reports are that he's out till after the All-Star break. Only reason I'm saying it is because we don't technically have an injury report, and I trust nothing in the NBA at this point. But officially, there is no injury report for Milwaukee yet. Any concerns about Dame on a back-to-back playing 44 minutes yesterday? No. So Golden State Milwaukee is the premier DFS game on today's slate. We go to game 7. The New Orleans Pelicans, 15.5-point dogs in OKC, 234 total. Second fastest game on today's slate. Absolutely no ownership coming into New Orleans, which should not be surprising. Bruce Brown not available, not with the team. Obviously Murray's out. Kelly Olynyk got shipped out. Herb Jones obviously still out. Brandon Boston questionable. 5% ownership to Yves Missi is the most of anybody coming into the Pels. I also have him at the top of the heap with 7% optimal. There's absolutely nothing for the Pelicans. I will not be talking about them any longer. Thunder, though. So, still no AJ Mitchell. Cason Wallace is out. Isaiah Joe is out. Ousmane Dieng is out. We're getting about 15% ownership to Isaiah Hartenstein and Jalen Williams. I greatly prefer Jalen Williams to Hartenstein. I think Jalen Williams deserves every bit of it. I think Hartenstein is over-owned. I think Shea is pretty significantly under-owned at 10-8. He's 2%. I like Shea a lot more than I like Wemby for today, even in this matchup against Washington. Chet is back. You're not playing him at 7,600. I think they're going to take him pretty slow, ramping his minutes back up. Dort, not interesting to me. Aaron Wiggins' minutes are up, but he's also 5K. Not anybody I really want to dig into. My priorities for OKC are the two best players on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Jalen Williams, number 1. SGA, number 2. I don't expect to have much of Oklahoma City otherwise. And by the way, in case I didn't mention it, the Thunder are the lowest owned team of the slate. So skipping those guys felt pretty good. By the way, you guys could also sign up and get the Sims at Stokastic for a month for nothing. It's an incredible deal. There's a link in the description of the video. If you click it, it's going to take you to our link join page. If you have a sportsbook or a pick'em site that you haven't signed up through, you can sign up using the link you see at that site. They'll give you some sort of bonus. And then if you follow the instructions on the page, you get a month of whichever sport you're looking for. So if you want NBA, you could sign up at a sportsbook or a pick'em site, make a deposit there. They're going to give you bonus bets or a deposit bonus or something. Follow the instructions at the top of the page. You get a month of our NBA core package. Sims, projections, ownership, all that good stuff. Costs you nothing. $0. You'll pay us nothing. Click that link. Sign up. Sacramento Kings, 1-point underdogs in Dallas. 237 total. This is the highest total on today's slate. Third fastest game. Now, Sacramento, we know what they're doing, and they've consolidated their rotation even more since the deadline. They got 30-plus minutes out of Levine, DeRozan, Murray, Monk, Sabonis, and Ellis last time out. Joval, straight backup. LaRavia, straight backup. Trey Lyles, straight backup. You're getting 10% ownership to Zach LaVine, 5 or lower to everybody else. I actually think DeRozan looks better than Levine. That's DeRozan at 6,700, small forward only. It's only 3% owned. Keegan Murray's only 1% owned. That's a little bit more interesting. It's not that I don't like Zach LaVine. I just don't think he looks appreciably different than anybody else here for the Kings. If you're playing the Kings, you're playing one of the 5 starters, whether it's LaVine, Murray, Sabonis, DeRozan, or Monk. And then I think it's fine to get a couple shares of Keon Ellis. If I'm ranking the Kings, it's DeRozan, Murray, Ellis, LaVine, Sabonis, Monk. But they all just look the same. The salaries are starting to normalize. You know, they're all falling into the role of dominating the ball because that's what Monk, DeRozan, and LaVine and Sabonis all do. It's really hard to ever pick an individual from the Kings because they just have so many different options that are also the same. Are you going to ever be surprised that one day it's a Levine day, one day it's a DeRozan day, one day it's a Monk day, one day it's a Sabonis day? Because I'm not. But how do you manage that? You just don't. Now, on the Dallas side, in case you were living under a rock this weekend, they are going to be without Anthony Davis for the foreseeable future. Great trade there. So we're getting about 10% ownership to Kyrie Irving, about 10% to PJ Washington, who's questionable. We also have a Q tag on Max Christie. We also have a Q tag on Dante Exum. They are still without Dwight Powell, Caleb Martin, Derek Lively. Tough beat for Dallas right now. They don't really deserve any ownership here. 10% to Kyrie, 10% to Washington, 10% to Gafford. I would rank it Irving, Gafford, Washington, but I don't see anything here that I think looks good. Those guys are 10%ers for sure, but I don't want a lot. Now, if Washington, Christie, and Exum all end up out, yeah, we're going to have some value on Dallas against a very bad Sacramento Kings defense. But right now, the problem really is that they're not good per minute guys. Like Max Christie's going to get 30 minutes. He's a 0.7 fantasy point per minute guy, and he's already 5K. There's no value there. Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, they're both going to play 25 minutes. There's not really any value there. But if we get those guys out, if there's no Washington, no Christie, no Exum, that's 82 minutes we need to redistribute to a team that's already pretty thin. We might have a ton of value from Dallas, or we just kind of play their three okay players and we call it a day. Pretty uneventful for the Mavs. But it could afford us some interesting late swap opportunities at 8:30. Final game of the DraftKings slate is one of the more unappealing games of the slate. Because we've got 5% ownership going into Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, DeAndre Ayton, and Denny Avdia. The Blazers are 9.5-point dogs in Denver with a 230 total. Obviously, those Q tags matter. If Jeremy Grant is out, big time changes. Chris Murray and Time Lord are both questionable. Those ones probably don't matter. The whole damn team's like 6K. 6,100 Kamara, 55, 65, 67, 66, 62, 58. The whole team that plays is between $5,500 and $6,700. And they all look the same. 9% optimal to Kamara, 8 to Grant, 10 to Simons, 8 to Ayton, 7 to Avdia. These guys are just like a shittier version of the Kings, for a DFS purpose at least. Might be the same team as the Kings. I don't know how to separate them. You want to tell me you like Simons more than Kamara? Sure. You want to tell me you like Ayton more than Grant? Sure. You want to tell me you like Kamara more than Scoot? Sure. We're 5%ers. Kamara, Grant, Simons, Ayton, Avdia. I'm happy to have 5 to 10% of them. I don't want to go crazy any direction. It's just unappealing. When you go to elevation, it's just not good. Denver has an actual home court advantage. Them and Utah have it no matter what. So, yeah, the 21% owned team, not looking great on paper. Denver, we didn't get anybody to double digits in ownership. 9% to Jokic, 9% to Aaron Gordon. I didn't get anybody into double digit optimal. 9% to Gordon, 7 to Jokic, 8 to Brown, 7 to Porter. There's nothing here. These guys don't look good, even with a great total. They're 5 to 10%ers. I think the very interesting piece of this whole slate is that none of the the true pay up options looked like awesome plays. You've got Jokic at 12.7, Wemby at 11K, SGA at 10.8, Tatum at 10.10, or at 10 even. 8%, 7%, 2%, 2% owned. Nothing. There's no love coming into any of the pay ups. There's no love coming into Denver. I'm going to close it out quickly. just for the FanDuel folks to look at Utah and the Lakers. And we'll build a lineup in the single lineup sim. Utah, 13-point dogs in LA, taking on the Lakers, 234 total. Everybody's available for Utah, apparently, which is so weird. No KJ Martin, no Colin Sexton, but no Q tags. 10% ownership to Jordan Clarkson, who for some reason now is just playing 30 plus minutes. He looks fine, but I have him at 8% optimal. Keontae George, John Collins, Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler, all at 8% optimal. So while Clarkson's getting the love, I don't think Kessler, Markkanen, Collins, or George look any different on FanDuel. If you want to pivot, you can pivot to your own teammates. Then for the Lakers, we do not know the status of Dalton Connect for today. Mark Williams, not a part of the Lakers. Maxi Kleber still out. Luka is questionable. LeBron is questionable. Bronny James is doubtful. 8% ownership to LeBron. I don't know how you play these Lakers guys right now. Like, if Luka's in, everything changes. Because then you're adding a 35% usage guy that dominates the ball. Everybody's per minute rates will be going down if Luka is in for the Lakers. So be aware of it. And if these guys are in, nobody looks good. All right, let's build a lineup or two. See how we do. See how it looks for the Czar. Let's get Bobby Portis in. Get Kyle Kuzma in. Get Draymond in. I guess let's get Gary Trent in. Get Pajemski in. Get Khalil Ware. I don't have a lot of money. Let's get Jordan Poole. And I can pay up at forward. Get Jason Tatum. Let's see it. First run. I think this is going to be pretty good. All right. 22%. I'll take that. Let's get Ware out of there. Let's get Tatum out of there. Let's get Poole out of there. Let's see if we could do this a little bit better. So we had Poole in at 7,100, but he's 33% owned. I wonder if we could get Steph. And then Keyshawn George. And then at utility, we could do, I guess technically we could do Dame, but now we can improve somewhere else. How much better can we get than Gary Trent? We can get up to Buddy Hield. Let's see how that one looks. Come on, 41.4. 23.9. All right, let's clear it. Let's do one more. So we can get to the 20s, which is fun. All right, let's lock down value again. It feels like we need Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma no matter what. But I think Draymond is the right answer. I think Gary Trent is the right answer. I'm going to wait on Portis and Kuzma to see where else we can get value. I think Pods is the right answer. I think Keyshawn George is the right answer. We're really going to be able to pay up elsewhere. All right, center. That's where it starts to get interesting. We're going to go to Jokic because I think we're going to have enough salary that it doesn't matter. I will not be trying Banchero. Let's get Nick Smith. Well, he's a 7,100. Now I actually do think we could take Portis and then get a $7,900 utility. It would be Jalen Williams. We really killed the ownership. I think this is going to be really good. This is going to be the best one by far. I have very little doubt. 38-4. Woo, baby. That's the way to leave. 68.5. The Czar is in the building. Oh, love it. Pajemski, Trent, George, Green, Jokic, Smith, Portis, Jalen Williams. The Czar has done it again. Alrighty, folks. 9 games up and down on DraftKings, 10 on the FanDuel side. We got a lot of news that we're waiting on. We had to miss a couple games here. Charlotte, tough to talk about. Dallas, tough to talk about. But we do have a hell of a schedule for the rest of the day. I'll let you know what that is. It's very simple. It's basketball only. I will be back later today, 5 p.m. with Spags, breaking it all down. Greg and Eric will be back for Live Before Lock. Thank you guys for being here. It's been great hanging out. You guys are the absolute best. Hit the like button on your way out the door. I'll talk to you guys later.